Hello and welcome to the Bob Reeves Brass live Facebook stream. My name is John Snell and I'm so grateful to have you guys watching from around the world. Show some love in the comment section. Ask your questions for our very special guest today, Eric Miyashiro. Let's bring Eric in all the way from Tokyo, Japan. Hi Eric, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. It's a morning here.
Good morning. That's right. And you're already in Wednesday there, so you're we're still trying to get through Tuesday.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock here, and it's too early for a trumpet player. You know that, right?
Well,
So thank you for having me, John. This is an honor,
oh,
and I was really looking forward to doing this. So,
oh man, it's such a pleasure to see you. Wish it could be in person, but hey, this is the next best thing, right?
well, exactly. Yeah.
Well, so let's start talking about trumpet. The first question that came in from Instagram earlier, and the person wanted to know what were your big band inspirations? What are your favorite big bands to listen to?
Okay. I got my first exposure to a big band. I think I was like fourth grade or fifth grade. I wasn't playing trumpet yet. My dad was a professional trumpet player, so I used to tag along with my dad to all his gigs. And at the Musicians Union, there was a rehearsal band. And back in those days in Hawaii, this is like early 70s, right? So all the hotels used to carry a house band. And all the first call musicians from LA would be flown over to Hawaii for several months at a time, and they would do shows. So during the day, and they would have a rehearsal band just to get some to keep their chops up, so to speak, right? So I used to tag along with my dad to the Union and watch these big bands, and just in those days, Jerry Hay, Gary Grant, Ollie Mitchell was there. Chuck would come in, from time to time. So I'll be just, blown away with the sound and the power of these musicians and the big band. Man, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So my first influence, I would say, was through guys like Gary Grant, and that kind of led me to Maynard naturally, and that kind of snowballed into bassy, your standard big band, So I would say my first big band thing was that rehearsal band at the Union.
Amazing. So, and then how's that changed? Do you still listen to the same guys today, or is there any new stuff you're listening to?
Okay. I always like going back into history and studying all these the standard big bands, Ellington, Basie. But I'm always trying to find the new sound. From these young arrangers and young musicians. So I'm always online on YouTube searching for new big bands to just sort of excite my ear. So I'm always on the lookout.
Wonderful, great. And so the next question comes in also, and for those of you watching around the world, show us some love in the comments. Show us where you're watching from. It's always great to see. I mean, we're already spanning the globe here. We have Eric all the way over in Tokyo, and we're here in LA. So show us in the comments where you're watching from. And of course, if you have any questions for Eric Miyashiro, let us know, and we'll ask Eric live right here. That's what we're doing. So the other question that came in via Instagram was what your preparation looks like. I know you've been doing a lot of stuff with the Blue Note Tokyo big band. And so what does your preparation look like, both writing and composing, but also playing-wise before a big performance?
I'm kind of really bad at that, preparing. I'm Hawaiian, so I'm kind of lazy. And I always do things the last minute. But
Well, thank you for your honesty.
I'm not the kind of guy that kind of have a um, uh, really good game plan for anything. I just kind of do it at the moment.
Mhm.
So that's kind of hard question to answer. If I have a recording project, I will probably start doing it a couple days before the deadline. I can't, if I have 10 days to prepare something, I would do it like maybe 6 hours before the deadline. I'm always a last minute kind of guy.
Mhm.
And same thing with my playing. I don't warm up at all.
Really?
Yeah, because we trumpet players have this thing to deal with, and it's not the same every day. So I don't do any same kind of a routine, so to speak. I don't. I kind of just. We always have a sound check or like a little rehearsal before the gig, right?
Mhm.
So I would use that the sound check or the rehearsal to sort of see how my chops are working. And I would probably use the first tune of the day or the second tune to sort of, warm up using the first chart of the day. So I don't prepare too much. I know it's bad. Uh,
Well,
but
you're getting a lot of love in the comments. Dennis said, "Hey, there's hope for me now." And yeah, we got people checking in. We got Australia checking in. We got Florida. Colin Reichow, good buddy from Honolulu's watching. He says hi. So yeah, show us some love in the comments. And of course, if you have any questions for Eric. Now that brings up an interesting point, Eric, about warming up. I mean, you use your first tune to kind of get a feel. So what happens if you're having an off day? Is there anything that you do then after that sound check, or do you just go with it? How does that turn out?
um, back in '80s, I was on the Buddy Rich's band. That was my first big band gig, my professional gig. Um, and most of you may not know those road bands. We get paid by the week. Okay, it's a weekly pay kind of thing. We get paid cash, and we don't make much at all, man. We make probably 450 for four a week, and we would have to pay half of the room. And between drinking, eating, partying, we don't have much to sort of make any kind of a saving. So I volunteered to be on the setup crew, which means that you get paid extra 50 for setting up the music, the drum set, the sound system, and things like that.
Mhm.
So when we get to the gig, most often times we would get in maybe like an hour before the show. Sometimes, and I would be setting up the things, and I would change into my uniform, get my horn out, and bam, it's the first note. I don't have any time to warm up. So I've kind of learned how to use that first chart of the day to sort of see where I am at. And I being on the road, you can't make any excuses for not having enough sleep, or if you have a little, flu, or you ate something bad, or you drank too much the night before. So you always have to deal with this different chop. So I kind of learned how to get my plan A, plan B, plan C, D, a different way of sort of making my lips work to get through that given day.
Mhm.
So it's kind of I don't know. I can't say how or um, why, but being on the hot seat,
Uh-huh.
being on the chopping block, it kind of forces you to make you learn how to find a way to get through it.
Now, I mean, when you're on the road, you're playing so much. I'm assuming you didn't have like a regular practice routine. But what about when you're off the road and you're not doing a lot of playing, like this time when cancels and concerts and stuff are canceled? Do you have a regular practice routine? What kind of stuff do you play?
Oh man, same answer. I don't
Really?
have that routine. And if I have let's say like a week off,
Hmm.
I will probably not play for about 6 days. And just the day before getting back on the road or getting back on the gigs, and I would maybe play 20 minutes there, and I would do something else for a couple of hours, and I'll get back on my horn for about 20, 10, and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, there are guys that have a strict routine that they do. The warm up may take a couple of hours, and I've seen these guys on the road. I being on the buddies band, I fired 23 trumpet players.
Whoa,
I have names, John.
man.
but I've seen so many guys straight out of school get on the band, and they would need to warm up for like a couple of hours before the gig. And I've seen these guys, warming up, and when they get in the band, and they'll be done, and they're like halfway, halfway through the gig, and they'll be, struggling to play even the third book. So I'm not a fan of over warming up, because you never know when you're warmed up. Maybe the point that you say, okay, I'm warmed up, that may be the point where you're going downhill already. So I, I'm not a warm upper.
Well, it gives us hope for us mortal trumpet players. The next question came in from Twitter about your time. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You didn't actually play on Maynard's band, but you played with Maynard a few times. Is that correct?
Yeah, I sat in. He was so gracious always about letting me play, and I've done four nights here in Tokyo. So yes. The answer is I've never been on the touring band, but I've sat in with the band maybe 6, 7 times.
Hmm.
And I've known Maynard since my high school days. I met him when I was high school senior in New York City on the McDonald's All-American High School Band. He was a guest soloist, and that's my first meeting Maynard. And ever since then, he kind of remembered me always. And whenever I show up to the gig, and he always kind of ask me to play. So it's been a
Did he ever give you any tips or anything playing wise in the time you knew him?
Oh man, you can ask the same question to all the guys that've been on Maynard's band.
Uh-huh.
But Maynard never really spoke about the mechanics of playing too much. But at least the time that I've seen him, of course I asked him the standard question, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But he always he always kind of yeah, I asked him about how do you play high, and he would start talking. He would start talking about his dog or something. He always kind of derail. And his mind's always, kind of. He's a fast thinker. He's always like thinking, and his conversation always kind of shifted. So I could never get a straight answer from him.
I mean, watching him up closely like you have. I mean, did you kind of get anything from that about how he did what he did?
No, because
really?
He was so unique. I mean, he always spoke about the air. The only thing that he would talk about is, using the air. study the yoga book, the Hatha Yoga, the Science of Breath book, and he would never talk about the tongue positions or the chops or the tonguing or whatever that's non-air related, and he would never speak about that. So, and he would, the way he played and the mouthpiece, of course, you've seen Maynard's mouthpieces in the 80s and 70s. He would have that jet tone, like really strange mouthpiece that he would use. So the way he played was so unique that you could never duplicate it, So, but I, watching him closely, I kind of noticed he uses his legs a lot. Uh, he would use his whole body to get that the energy that he required. He played so efficiently. How can you not? To play till like his age, night of being on the road every night and doing what he did. He knew what he was doing. He never said that. Really.
Well, we're here live with Eric Miyashiro, all the way from Tokyo, Japan, and show us in the comments where you're watching from. We've got pretty much all of the U.S. covered. We have Makoto Ishii-san from Tokyo. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And we got some friends from Honolulu checking in. Darren Harada, he says hi, Eric. So we have Honolulu checking in, and of course, I mean, the most important thing is ask a question. You have Eric Miyashiro here for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So ask him anything, probably trumpet related, right? Bangkok, Thailand checking in. So ask your questions in the comments and we will answer them live. So Eric, I want you to talk about something that you talked about in the podcast. I mean, it's been a few years ago since we did that, but you talked about a story that probably the first time I ever dropped my jaw down to the floor in a podcast interview. You were talking about when you ran into chop problems on the road. Do you remember that story?
Oh, you mean the crazy glue thing?
Yeah. Would you mind going through that for the folks watching? Because I've never heard anything like that, and it's got to be one of the craziest stories I've ever heard.
Oh, sure. Okay. When I first got on Buddy Rich's band, I was 23, I think. Yeah. And I was too green. I wasn't ready for the band yet. We would play maybe like 2 weeks without any day off, and we'll probably have like one day off, but that's going to be like traveling day, and you could never really get a good night rest being on the road. And back in those days, one tour would last a couple months, 3 months straight. They would keep adding shows at the end of the tour, so you never knew when the tour ends. There was no end in the sight. So when I first got on the band, like I said, I was too young, too green to be on that book. So the second tour, the first tour was only about a month and a half. The second tour lasted 3 months, and the next one another 3. But we played, I think, 68 days, I think, straight without a day off. So halfway through that third tour, I got a little cut that started like right on top of my lip, and I kept playing on it. And back in those days, I was playing really, really hard. Those twist and turn embouchure kind of thing. Using a lot of the octave key, right? Just using too much pressure. So the cut started to open up every day. No time to heal. So I will play. The cut opens up. The next day, it kind of closes up and get a little scab. and that night, you open up again. So the cuts started to open from here, and started to go down
Ooh.
my side, and started to go even in to my mouth. I have this piece of meat just hanging out,
Oh.
and I would my mouthpiece would be like covered in blood. The cup would be red. So there was a point that I couldn't play, make a note, and before getting on Buddy's band, I heard this story that Bobby Shu had the same problem on Buddy's band, and he used a glue
Hmm.
to close up his the wound. So I said, yeah, okay, here's an idea. So at the next truck stop, I ran in and I got myself a crazy glue, and I sealed the cut with the crazy glue. And of course, the crazy glue kind of hardens really hard, and I could only play from top line G to about an E above high C, only loud. There was no finesse, no sound, and I could just play super loud. I could kind of force my lips to sort of vibrate. But that's the money range for a lead trumpet player anyway, right?
Mhm.
It's like, so I kind of got by uh, playing that book, and about 3 or 4 days later, that piece of the crazy glue came off, and my lip was healed.
Wow.
And I-
That's
but
incredible.
yeah, it was not comfortable, of course. It was sore, it was painful, and it was a real struggle, just to make a note. But being on the road, you can't make any excuses. I couldn't pass my lead part to the guys on the band, the other trumpet players, because the lead trumpet players always got paid more
Hmm.
than the other guys, right? So Buddy didn't want me to pass the charts around. It's a courtesy kind of thing, of
Yeah.
course, right? So, I had to do what I had to do, in any way I could. So that's my crazy glue story.
Awesome. Oh, man, it's not any less painful the second time hearing this. Oh, man, I feel for you. Man, we have Mexico checking in, Chicago. This is so awesome. If you have any questions for Eric Miyashiro, we are asking them live. Don't be shy in the comments. Show us your love. We're having fun on a Tuesday afternoon here and a Wednesday morning there in Tokyo. And it's so great to have everyone watching from around the world. And what an honor to have Eric Miyashiro telling stories about Buddy Rich and Maynard and all the greats. Now, you were also on Woody Herman's band, right? Did you play with Woody for a while?
Yeah, 1987, Buddy passes,
Mhm.
and at that time, Greg Gisbert was on Woody Herman's band.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
actually, real quick, can you mind backing up just a little bit, Eric? There we go. I don't want to lose you in the frame.
Okay,
All right, yeah,
so,
continue on. So I've been
yeah,
joining Woody's band.
yeah. When Roger Ingram left Woody's band, and Greg Gisbert asked me if I wanted to take his place. So yes, yeah, I got on Woody's band for about a year and a half. But unfortunately, at that time, Woody was off the band because of his health. So Frank Tiberi, the sax player, was leading the band. So technically, I was Woody's last trumpet player, but Woody wasn't there.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it was a great band. Uh, Big change from Buddy Rich band, and I had a wonderful meeting all these great players on Woody's band as well. So yeah.
Wonderful. And now we're about to get geeky here, as if sewing up your lip with super glue isn't geeky enough. Let's talk mouthpieces. Dennis Johnson's asking about your mouthpiece journey.
Okay. Oh, hey, John, you've seen this many times. My first Bob Reeves.
There
Check that out. Can you see
we
that?
go. There we go. Right now.
Okay. What I did, this is like, I I was high school. Yeah, I was in
Hmm.
high school sophomore. I was playing on a Jettone Bill Chase model. My dad gave me a copy of Maynard's album, Live at Jimmy's, um, and of course, I kind of freaked out and said, "Man, how does he do this? It must be the mouthpiece, right?" So I asked my dad, "Hey, what kind of mouthpiece does Maynard use?" And my dad said, "I think he's using a Jettone now." So the next day, I cut school and went to a music store and asked for a Jettone Maynard Ferguson mouthpiece, and they didn't have it.
Hmm.
Um, but they said that, well, we have this thing that says BC Jettone, and I asked them, well, who's BC, and they said, no, we don't know. So I just bought it anyway because it kind of looked cool, the Jettones. So I was playing on the Jettone, but I was kind of, having little problems here and there. So I heard about Bob Reeves through, I think Gary Grant told me about Bob Reeves, I think, because Gary was playing on Bob Reeves back then, and he said that I should contact him about getting a mouthpiece made. And I didn't know anything about the mechanics of the mouthpiece back then, so I just said, well, okay, I'll just give him a call. So I phoned him. I phoned Bob, and he asked me what I was playing on, and I said, well, it's a BC Jettone, and he said that, oh, that must be a Bill Chase model, and I asked Bob, who's Bill Chase?
Oh man.
And he said, well, go to a record store, look for Bill Chase. He's got a band name called The Chase, and of course, I became a fan anyway. So I bought another Chase Jettone, and I sent it to Bob, and he cut that rim off of a Jettone. Okay, and he sent me a OES 692S, and he said this might be good for you, but it was too shallow for me. So I spent the next 2 weeks with a sandpaper sanding the cup, making it a little deeper, and Bob cut the Jettone rim off and threaded onto this OES.
Yeah.
This is my first custom-made Eric Miyashiro model.
Cool.
By Bob. And this is where the journey started. This is where the safari started. Right? So, this became, after that, he made me another one, the main mouthpiece. After that was Marcinkowitz. I got to meet Joe on the road. I think he was in Glendale still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, a Shoki custom-made mouthpiece. And I made a move to Tokyo in 1990 and met a bunch of guys from Yamaha, and they made me a Yamaha mouthpiece. And then currently I'm playing on a GR, the mouthpiece. But yeah, this is where it all started, man. The Bob Reeves mouthpiece. Right?
And I still picture you sitting in class sanding the cup down. I don't advise doing that to people watching at home, but hey, doing what you have to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, show us some love in the comments. We are here live with Eric Miyashiro. We have folks spanning the globe, and those of you watching in Europe, man, it is early in the morning there. Thank you guys for watching. Spain and UK checking in. I saw Thailand checking in. This is awesome. Ask your questions of Eric Miyashiro. We have another equipment related. Would you mind talking? This comes from Ian. Hi, Ian. Good to see you. About your Yamaha model trumpet. Could you talk a little bit about the specs of it? Because it's hard to get information about that, at least here in the U.S.
Okay. When I was on the road, and when you have to play a deep trumpet thing night to night, your gear kind of tends to get extreme. You use shallow, small, high compression mouthpiece, and most of the trumpet players would tend to go on a larger bore, open horn. So small mouthpiece, big horn kind of setup. When I first met Wayne Bergeron, on this is like '86, I think. He was on Maynard's band, and he was on the same thing too. He was playing on small mouthpiece with a Shilky X3, which is a large barrel, large bore. So when I got to Tokyo and I started to do a lot of studio work, recording work, and I found my horn to be very um, hard to control.
Hmm.
I could only play loud. I couldn't play anything delicate. So I had to rethink my equipment, and I kind of remember what Bobby Shu told me. Uh, Being on Buddy's band and I met Bobby, and he's checked me out a couple of times, and he said that, trust me, Eric, um, try my horn out. Try my the Yamaha Z Bobby Shu model, and and try to learn how to play with a resistance. Resistance is your friend. That's what he said. But I was too young at that time. It was like, who needs resistance? I was like, gun ho approach to trumpet. So
Bigger is better, right?
there you go. Us man, we man, what's with this size and this our macho mentality, right? So anyway, so I started to experiment on a smaller bullhorn, but I could not play Bobby's horn. It was a little too tight for me, and no matter what I did. So I talked to the Yamaha people, and they said that they were gracious enough to say, okay, well, let's make a horn. Let's try to design something. Um, and we started off with the basic design was Bobby's horn, and I kind of tailored that to my likings. It has a same bell as Bobby's horn or as Wayne's horn. It has the same Yamaha A bell, um, but with a different bore sizes throughout. Here it is. The bell is the same, but it has a bigger diameter. It's a large bore here. It's a medium large here. No, it's a medium bore at the piston.
Here, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get rid of the frame here. Yeah,
Yeah,
go back so that way people can see it a little bit better. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
It has the same lead pipe as Bobby's horn. Has the same bell taper as Bobby's horn, but all the bore size it's completely different throughout the horn. Medium bore here at the valve section, medium large at the slides, large bore here, and the bell tail is medium large, but kind of flares out fast here. So it's a multi-bore kind of thing. So when I see a lot of people make a big mistake by judging the horn by the size, the medium, large, the large, medium bore. It's the resistance all is determined by the lead pipe, basically. You know, so that's the simple rundown of my horn.
Great explanation. Next question comes in from Nathan Samuelson. Hey, Nathan, how buddy? He was just on the podcast. Fine young player up in Canada. He's watching, so good to see you, Nathan. His question is, what are your new projects? Do you have anything? I mean, we're all kind of sitting around at home, but what do you have in the works?
Well, at the moment, like anywhere in the world, I guess it's playing outside of your home is non-existent. You know, so all my gigs are canceled till about September. So I'm at home doing remote sessions a lot. I just did something for a big gaming company here in Tokyo. Um, but I'm always trying to create new music. So I'm writing a lot, and I'm doing like those remote session big band thing right now. A little bit of a tribute to a Maynard. So that should be done in a couple of weeks. It should be on YouTube. But
Yes.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
exciting. Looking forward to that.
yeah.
And that's, yeah, I mean, you've been doing a lot on YouTube, right? I've noticed you've done all kinds of collaborations and new things, right, on your channel?
Yes, yes, yeah. I have a big band. It's sort of a house band for Blue Note Tokyo, and we have the upcoming project is we're probably gonna have maybe Dave Sanborn or Marcus Miller as a guest soloist, and we're trying to get a pick a tune to do that. And of course, once again, it's going to be a remote session. You know, I'll have the guys record their parts at home and put it together, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what you did, Smile, recently.
Yeah,
And my favorite was Tank from the old Cowboy Bebop cartoons I grew up with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was so much fun. So the next question actually is kind of related. From Al is asking, I want to buy your arrangements you write for the Tokyo Blue Note All-Star Band. Are they available? Great question. So is that something you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, yeah. I've sold a couple already, thanks to the YouTube. You know, it's a good promo for my chart. So yeah, contact me through Facebook or YouTube, whatever you can. They are for sale. So yeah, and I'm honored. I'm very honored that people are interested in my writing. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Great. The next question comes from Morris, another podcast guest. Man, we have a lot of great folks watching. Hi, Morris. Good to see you. I hope you're being safe up there in Washington. This is a plain technical question. What's your rough guess or percentage of your use of tongue level, mouthpiece placement, air compression, and actual mouthpiece depth in playing your extreme upper register? Ooh, that's a mouthful.
I don't believe in tongue arches. You may disagree on this, but I don't see the relationship between high notes and a tongue level. So I don't think about that at all. The only thing that tongue does is sort of changes the color or the character of the sound. But raising the tongue to get a higher compression is I don't know. I'm not really. I don't believe that.
So how did the upper register develop for you then?
I've never had a teacher in my life. I never took lessons. I took one lesson, maybe two, when I was 7th grade, and I said no, this is not going to work, because I hated to be told what to do. So I've always been studying by watching people play, and I've noticed that people have so much different ways of 100 ways of playing this thing. Yeah, so I early on, I knew that I had to find my own way of playing, not trying to copy someone's, system or go by someone's book. So I've got little bits and pieces from everybody. The good things that I thought that worked for me, from the Claude Gordon stuff, from the Maggio, the Carmine Caruso, Bill Adams things, and whatnot, but so I kind of made my own way of playing. So I'm and I noticed that if I once I started to think about the embouchure or the tongue placement, and all these mechanical things, I couldn't play music. I couldn't really enjoy it. I was like in just making a sound, not music. I was just got away from having fun. So the simple answer to that question is I really try not to think about that, and I don't.
Well, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, that's it. You found out what worked for you in your own way.
Yeah.
The next question comes in from Simon in Sydney, and this is a long one, so pardon me while I read. Eric, Simon, I saw you live at ITG in LA a couple years ago, and you sounded great. It was very special because Bobby Shue was in the audience, and you paid tribute to him, and well, from the stage, and he was sitting behind me and in tears, obviously very proud of you. So there's that. He wanted to convey that to you. So then the question is not related. Is there any way to get the custom backpack case that comes with your Yamaha available separately? It's a great design. The trumpet is great too, but if I buy another B flat, my wife will leave me. So we can all understand that, right?
Yeah, that backpack is my design. I designed that case for my horn, and they are for sale, I guess, but they're very expensive. I think they're like $500 or $600. So you might be better off buying the horn and to get the backpack and sell the horn afterwards.
Or fall in love with the horn and then sell your other horn, and yeah.
Yeah, but they are for sale. So contact your local Yamaha. Contact Bob Malone, maybe.
Great to know, because yeah, I'm sure people are looking for that. Win Okuda is saying hello and you have an invitation to visit Hai's Steakhouse next time you come back to Hawaii. So.
Oh my God! Yeah, whenever they reopens.
Yeah. So we have a couple people. So you guys know, watching around the world. Let us know where you're watching from around the world in the comments. It's always great to see who's watching. But just so you know, this whole live Q&A will be posted on our Facebook page after the fact. So if you miss some of the questions, it will be archived there in case you miss something. So some of you have asked, what Eric's daily routine is or his warm-up, and we did cover that earlier. So we're not ignoring your question. It's already been answered. So once this is posted, just hit rewind and you'll be able to find out that information. New Zealand checking in. This is awesome. Next question comes from On's Trumpet. What's your feeling between silver and gold-plated mouthpieces? Do you have a preference?
I think silver grips your lips a little more than the gold. Gold is a little slipperier. But I find that the gold protects the mouthpiece better than the silver. Silver oxidizes really quick, and for some people, the inside of the mouthpiece blackens. John, you can explain about that more than me. So I think I used to prefer silver before than a gold, but now I'm kind of forced myself to learn how to play on a gold mouthpiece. And I think it's a better choice for me now, but I don't think it changes the sound of your playing at all. The plating, it's more of a preferred feeling on your lips.
Yeah, I mean, there is some practicality about it, about the finish, but then also, yeah, the feel is probably the most important thing. Yeah, like you said. New Zealand is asking, getting to the truth. So does your Yamaha EM horn come with alterations for you, or are you playing the same one that comes out of the box? And by the way, Hiro from New Zealand has one and loves it. So have you had any tweaks to yours?
No.
No.
I have to say no. They're right off the batch. Mm-hmm. Maybe the only thing that I change might be like a spring, the valve spring, maybe different. That's about it. Mm-hmm. No. Yeah.
Yeah, good to hear. And we just have a few more minutes, so let's, if you have a question for Eric, ask him in the comments, and we'll try to wrap up here. It's been so awesome having you on here, Eric, and especially this early in the morning there. Like you said, trumpet players aren't supposed to be up that early, right?
Yeah, I'm just starting to wake up.
Yeah. Chris Morgan asks, what has been your most memorable music experience? Good question.
Oh, wow. John, often I get the same question, but I can't. There are so many. They're all memorable, and they're all precious. It's like asking someone what's your favorite tune, and there are so many. So I'm sorry, but I can't answer that. There are so many. Every concert is special in its own way. And yeah, I'm sorry to.
Well, no, trying to nail it down to one. I mean,
Yeah, it's impossible.
yeah.
But maybe if uh, um, I guess my first night with Buddy might be the most memorable. I guess that's where it all started. The whole journey, kind of started on that day. So that might be my most memorable, I guess. Let me talk about the first night. Do we have time for that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was at Berkeley College studying, not really studying. I was just being a college kid, playing around every day, partying. My room at the dorm was a party room, so I would always have like 10, 15 people hanging out, passing out, and there was always a booze and pizza in my room. So anyway, my first dream, my first goal was to be on Maynard's band, naturally, right? So every day I had this dream of being on Maynard's band. One day I got a call to be on Buddy Rich's band, and I said, "Well, maybe not." I turned down the gig because I heard horror stories about how difficult Buddy was to play with. So I turned it down, and from 2 weeks passes, and during those 2 weeks, and I would get all these comments from all my friends, and it's, man, Eric, man, you blew it, you missed your big chance, man. Ooh, there's Eric Miyashiro turned down Buddy's gig. Ooh, man. And I would get all these mocking comments from everybody. That went on for 2 weeks, and I was getting really tired of that. And one night I was in my room, and of course party. It's like I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. The phone rings in my dorm room, right? And I picked it up, and it was the call said, "This is Buddy Rich." And no, wait. It was a manager first called me first, and he said that hey, Eric, Buddy just fired a lead trumpet player. Can you come and join the band tomorrow? And I thought someone was making fun at me again. And I say, yeah, right, and I hung it up. The phone rings again a couple of minutes later, and the person on the other side of the phone says, "This is Buddy Rich." And I said, yeah, right.
Oh.
And he goes, no, really, this is Buddy. And I want you to come play with me tomorrow night. I got your number from Jimmy Mosier, who was ex Buddy's lead alto player, who taught at Berkeley at the time, and he recommended my name to Buddy. So I got sober really quick.
Whoa.
I said, yes, sir, I'll be there. And I got the information and got on the bus. I didn't even tell the school that I was leaving school. I just left, and I caught on the bus and met the band, and the band was late. The band came in like half an hour before the downbeat. So everybody's like hustling to get on the bandstand, sitting at the bandstand and stuff. The manager gives me a book about that thick, and said, and he said, here's the music. And I said, what are we playing tonight? And he said, I don't know. And I said, okay, great. So I, put on a uniform, and I warmed up, and I got on the bandstand, and I looked up into the audience, and the first person I see is Alan Wise on Maynard's band. And I said, what is Alan doing in the audience? And I looked over, and the entire Maynard's band was in the audience.
Oh, no.
It turns out that Maynard's band played the night before nearby. They had a night off. The band came over, and Maynard was there too. And I could see Maynard like in the back of the room. And I said, great, no pressure there. My first night on a buddy's band, and there's entire Maynard's band in the audience. Okay. And so, the gig started, and I don't remember how the gig went. But that's probably my most memorable musical experience, which I don't remember the music.
Adrenaline, you just heat of the moment.
Yeah, I went on the autopilot, I guess. I kind of made it through. And after the gig was over, buddy comes over, patted me on my shoulder, and said, "Hey, good, relax, kid. You'll be good." That's what he said. Relax, kid.
Yeah.
You'll be.
Well, and you made it. I mean, you were on the band for quite a while, weren't you?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Yeah. Amazing story. How cool. Next question. We'll just do a couple here real quick, and then we'll wrap up. Dennis is asking about your jazz playing and your improvisation. Did you transcribe solos to learn jazz?
Yeah, I did. I transcribed a lot, but I did not transcribe the entire solo. Let's say if there's a Clifford solo, and it was like 4 choruses long, and I would just run down, listen to the solo, and I would just pick phrases, like a bar or maybe 2 bars, that I liked, and I just transcribed those licks. I was never disciplined enough to transcribe the entire solo. And I kind of found out early on that transcribing the whole solo really didn't matter. Didn't make any sense, or I thought it was kind of missing a point, because it's someone's solo is someone's idea, their statement. It's like if there's Miles' solo, it's Miles. It's his personality translated into music, and by copying that and trying to be Miles is it just didn't make any sense. You can never do that. Mm-hmm. So I would just pick the statements, like the sentences from here, the words, and I would sort of get those little puzzle pieces from Bobby Shue, Blue Mitchell, Miles, Dizzy, and when I would improvise, I would kind of take that a little pieces of puzzle and kind of attaches, and make a little story out of it. That's how I kind of started to learn how to improvise. I've never studied, the scales or patterns, let alone the chords. Not too much when I started, because I found out, kind of, if you learn the rules, you get kind of be a slave into that, the wrong notes, and you don't have the freedom to kind of experiment and make a mistake during a solo. In jazz there are no bad notes. I think it's what you do after that note that would make if you let's say if you miss a note, or if you crack a note, if you do it again, it's a statement, right? So it's what you do after you made a sour note that kind of makes it good. And I thought that if you learn too much rules, you're not be able to do those, I don't know, expressing your personality and stuff. So that's how I learned how to improvise, I guess.
Next question comes from Sergio. He says, hello, and have you ever tried out any type of yoga breathing techniques?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I heard from Bobby Shu early on that Maynard gave Bobby the book called The Science of Breath. It's a Hatha Yoga book. And I found that book at a bookstore, and I was like really excited, and thinking, okay, where's the double C section? Of course there was none, right? So, but I got a lot of good ideas from it. It's there was no magic, the magical system or something that gonna drastically change the way you play, but it had a lot of information that helped you to be efficient, to be more relaxed, I guess. So it is a great book. I really strongly recommend to go and find that book.
Now, it seems kind of silly because if people can find us on Facebook on this live stream, I'm sure they can use Google. But just for kicks, what's the best way to find out about you? Facebook, website, Instagram? Where can folks find out about you?
I guess Facebook and YouTube, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube has been a great, I guess, manager for me, a promo. I've gotten so much gigs through YouTube videos, so it's a great way to sort of have people listen to your music. So I guess yeah, YouTube, Facebook would be good.
Great. And when we post this, we'll make sure we'll add a description up above that'll have all the links, so you don't even have to use Google to find all of this stuff. Eric, man, it's been so awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, John. I'm honored that you asked me to do this. I know you have Jerry coming up and Bria, and it's so tickled pink to be included in this, my heroes. So thank you.
Oh, man. Oh, I mean, the honor is all mine. I mean, like I said, I wish we could do this in person again, and maybe someday soon we'll be able to head over there and we'll do a live Q&A. But hey, I mean, what's important is we're safe and we're able to spread the word and connecting all over the world. Doing something like this is so cool. So, Eric, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, John. Say hi to Bob.
Will do. And thank you guys for watching. It's been an honor having you leaving comments and showing us love in the comments section. And Eric kind of spilled the beans here about what we have coming up. So tomorrow, a little earlier, 2 p.m. Pacific time, we have Bria Schoenberg. Wonderful vocalist, wonderful trumpet player and songwriter. And she was recently featured on the Other Side of the Bell podcast, episode 79, I believe. So check that out. Listen to that tonight and then have questions for her tomorrow. And then Thursday, we will have Jerry Hay, trumpeter, horn section arranger, sea wind, producer. I mean, what hasn't Jerry done? He will be joining us 2 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday. And then for our low brass brothers, we didn't forget about you. We will have David Rayano, principal trombone of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, joining us for a live Q&A. And we're lining up some fun guests for next week. Not as many, because the shop is back open. This was a lot of fun having 4 this week, but we will still be having live content every week here on the Bob Reeves Brass Facebook page. So go ahead, follow us. If you don't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twitter, yada, 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 Instagram. We're everywhere. And we're having fun being back at the shop. If you notice, those of you who've watched the previous ones, I'm not in the corner of my bedroom anymore. I have a somewhat proper room here at the shop to do these. So thank you so much for joining us. It means a whole lot to me and all of us here at the shop and our honored guests. So thank you for watching. Until next time, be safe, be healthy, and maybe get some practicing in, shall we? All right. Bye-bye.